GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good night, Montreal.
Students from abroad have gathered in downtown Montreal today, demanding a permanent solution for completing their programs after the Quebec Ministry of Education refused to renew the operating permits of 4 private colleges. Several dozen protesters, many holding signs in multiple languages, have set up a temporary encampment outside the Provincial Education Ministry offices. The ministry's decision leaves the students' coursework in limbo, with no clear pathway to transfer credits or finish degrees. Organizers say the lack of a contingency plan threatens the future of the foreign student population that contributes significantly to the province's higher education sector. Officials from the ministry declined to comment on a timeline for reinstating the permits, while university representatives urged the government to consider interim measures. The demonstration remains underway, with police monitoring the crowd but reporting no arrests so far.
Lou Dort, the Montreal-born forward who has anchored the Oklahoma City Thunder's defense, will be on the move today in a 3-team deal that sends him to the Atlanta Hawks. The trade, announced by the Thunder this morning, also involves a second franchise, though the details of the other pieces remain under wraps. Dort, known for his tenacity on the wing, joins a Hawks roster that is looking to boost its perimeter toughness as the season approaches. Atlanta's general manager praised his defensive instincts, saying the addition fits the team's identity. The Thunder, meanwhile, will receive a package of draft assets and a young wing from the third club. Fans in both cities will watch the league office finalize the paperwork later this afternoon. Montreal supporters have taken to social media, celebrating the hometown talent's new chapter and hoping he will bring a splash of northern grit to Atlanta's lineup.
Quebec Life-Saving Society reports that the province has recorded 39 suspected drowning deaths so far in 2026, and officials warn the toll could climb during the coming 2 weeks. The surge comes as the annual construction holiday has begun, leaving many waterways without the usual safety barriers and supervision that are often in place during the summer peak. The Society says the season already shows a historic high for drownings, with numbers outpacing previous years. Rescue teams are on alert across the province, especially at popular lakes and rivers where families gather for recreation. Authorities are urging swimmers to stay within designated areas, wear life jackets, and heed posted warnings as the risk remains elevated throughout the remainder of the summer. The organization is coordinating with municipal emergency responders to deploy additional lifeguards and public information campaigns at high-traffic sites.
Ontario truck drivers are flooding Quebec licensing offices, with applications to swap their provincial permits for Quebec equivalents rising by 30% over the past month. The surge reflects a wave of drivers relocating to the province, drawn by expanding freight corridors and competitive rates. Transport regulators in Quebec report that the influx is straining processing centers in major hubs such as Montreal and Quebec City, prompting officials to consider expedited review procedures. Industry analysts say the trend could reshape cross-border logistics as more fleets base operations on the island and adopt local compliance standards. Drivers cite lower registration fees and easier access to regional terminals as key incentives. The Provincial Transport Ministry has confirmed the data and is monitoring the situation closely, urging newcomers to complete all safety and training requirements before hitting the road.
Residents of the Mercier-Hochelaga-Maisonneuve neighborhood assembled Saturday evening after Canadian National Railway sprayed herbicide along the tracks that border their homes. The application began at roughly 6:43 p.m., and neighbors said they received no prior warning. CN maintains that weed control treatments are routine on its lines, but locals voiced concerns that the chemicals were being applied so close to a residential area, citing possible health and safety impacts. City health officials indicated they will monitor air quality in the vicinity over the next several days. The Neighborhood Association has arranged a meeting with CN next week to discuss safety guidelines and advance notification procedures. The protest remained peaceful, with participants holding signs and speaking to reporters about the lack of communication and their worries over exposure to the herbicide.
Later we'll explore how Montreal plans 1,650 new affordable housing units to tackle the shortage. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad you're still with us. Now Rachel will bring you the latest local stories we've been tracking.
2 people were seriously injured this morning when a van struck a motorcycle on Chemin Royal in Saint Laurent de l'Île-d'Orléans. Sûreté du Québec responded to the scene and confirmed the collision left both victims with life-threatening injuries. Police closed Chemin Royal shortly after the crash to conduct a thorough investigation, diverting traffic onto alternate routes across the island. The closure, which remained in effect through the afternoon, forced commuters and delivery drivers to reroute, adding delays to daily errands and school trips. Emergency crews transported the injured to the nearest hospital where they remain under intensive care. Sûreté officials said they are reviewing witness statements and will release further details once the investigation is complete. Residents are advised to follow posted signage and remain patient while authorities work to clear the roadway.
The city of Montreal announced yesterday that it will build 1,650 affordable housing units on the former Molson Brewery site and in the Namur Hippodrome neighborhood. The 2 projects are part of a broader push to expand low-cost housing across the city. Officials said the new blocks will add dozens of families to the rental market and aim to ease the pressure on waiting lists. Construction is slated to start later this year, with the first phase expected to deliver several hundred units within the next 18 months. The plan follows recent studies showing a growing gap between supply and demand for affordable homes, and city leaders said the developments will be integrated into existing community infrastructure. Local residents hope the influx of new homes will bring stability to families struggling to find rent that fits their budgets.
Yesterday, 6 Canadian public artworks were announced as finalists in the COD Awards, the global competition run by the commissioned art network COD Awards. 3 of those pieces hail from Quebec, positioning the province's creators within the competition's top 100 list. The finalists were selected by a panel that includes curators Tony Sykes and Sonali Karnik, who noted the diversity of approaches across the entries. For local artists, the recognition offers exposure beyond regional galleries and could lead to new commissions in municipal spaces. The COD Awards, now in its 22nd year, continue to spotlight works that engage the public realm, from sculptural installations to interactive murals. Quebec's presence among the 6 Canadian selections underscores the province's ongoing contribution to contemporary public art, a point of pride for the province's cultural community. City planners and cultural sponsors are watching the outcomes closely.
Yesterday, artist Stina Bawden unveiled a night sky mural on the roof of a 19th-century barn in the eastern townships. The piece depicts a star-filled sky and honors the region's Black heritage dating back to the 19th century. The barn, a local landmark, now serves as a canvas highlighting a community that has long been overlooked. Residents passing by can see the constellations rendered in bright blues and golds, prompting curiosity about the stories of Black settlers who arrived in the area centuries ago. The project is part of a broader effort to commemorate the little-known Black history of the eastern townships through public art, giving everyday passers-by a chance to learn about this hidden chapter while enjoying a striking visual landmark. Bawden said she hopes the sky will invite families and school groups to pause and reflect on contributions of Black ancestors who built farms and churches in the area.
Montreal is gearing up to host the World Road Cycling Championships this September, an event that will draw roughly 550,000 spectators to the city's streets. Officials say the race will provide an unprecedented international showcase, putting local businesses and neighborhoods in the global spotlight. Over the past several months, municipal crews have been installing temporary barriers, coordinating with police for traffic diversions, and working with hospitality partners to manage the influx of fans. The city's transportation department has mapped out dedicated bike lanes and shuttle routes to keep commuters moving smoothly. Residents can expect a surge in tourism, with hotels and restaurants preparing special menus and promotions. While the logistical challenges are significant, planners are confident the championship will highlight Montreal's capacity to host world-class sporting events.
Now, let's turn to the weather for a quick look at tonight's conditions.
A strengthening western jet and rising high pressure are locking in dry, warm conditions across Montreal tonight. On this date, Montreal once baked to a record high of 33.3 degrees in 2020, a temperature that arrived during the historic heat dome that pushed the province into a prolonged 90-day streak of extreme warmth. The cold counterpart fell to 12.8 degrees in 2018, when an Arctic plunge threaded the Great Lakes corridor and shattered early summer expectations. By contrast, the long-term July average hovers around 23 degrees for the high and 15 for the low, so today feels comfortably near normal. The live radar shows a pristine echo field, no rain bands or convective cores over the province. With high pressure building from the northwest and a swift westward jet aloft, the atmosphere is capped by subsiding air that suppresses lift. Moisture remains locked out, leaving clear skies and steady conditions for Montreal. That stability carries us straight into tonight's forecast. At 11 tonight, Montreal sits at 20 degrees with partly cloudy skies, humidity around 62%, and a gentle northwest breeze of 10 kilometers per hour. A rising high-pressure ridge is cementing the calm, while a powerful westward jet stream clocking 128 kilometers per hour streams aloft, slicing off any lingering moisture. Overnight temperatures will dip to 15 degrees as the ridge holds firm. By morning, the sun will break through scattered clouds, and the day will climb to a high of 25 degrees. The UV index will register 6, and winds will gust to 28 kilometers per hour from the west, feeling brisk across the downtown core. No weather alerts are in effect, and precipitation remains absent throughout the period. With the atmosphere locked, we now turn to the 5-day outlook. Looking ahead, Monday brings an overcast canvas with a high of 27 degrees and a low of 14, as the high-pressure core drifts east and draws a shallow marine layer inland. Tuesday's pattern shifts slightly. The same ridge still dominates, but a weak frontal wave nudges moisture in, delivering a 55% chance of rain and a high near 26 with a milder low of 17. Wednesday clears as the jet stream arches north, offering a clear sky, a high of 23 and a low returning to 14, though lingering clouds keep the rain probability at 35%. Thursday remains dry and clear, holding steady at 23 high and 14 low. Friday snaps back to warmth, with sunshine, a high of 26 and a low of 17, before the weekend approaches. And that's your weather. Remember, the wrap is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Coming up, we break down this morning's traffic, preview what's on today, and catch the Canadian season opener. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
And now here's Jason with sports.
Hockey, soccer, and a blockbuster trade, Montreal sports are moving fast. Circle September 29 on your calendar. The Montreal Canadiens open the 2026 to 2027 NHL season on the road against the Toronto Maple Leafs. The NHL scheduled an all-Canadian opening night doubleheader, with the Edmonton Oilers hosting the Vancouver Canucks in the other matchup, according to CBC Sports. The Montreal Roses picked up a 1-0 Northern Super League win over the visiting Halifax Tides. Substitute Chloe Minas was the hero, stepping up to convert a penalty kick in the 77th minute. CBC Sports reported the result from Sunday's match. A long chapter in Montreal Canadiens history has closed. The Habs dealt veteran forward Brendan Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for future considerations. CBC Sports reported the transaction, which sends one of the franchise's most recognizable names out of Montreal.
On a crisp summer afternoon in the heart of Montreal, the Olympic Village buzzed with the energy of athletes from every corner of the world. In a modest laboratory tucked beneath the iconic Olympic Stadium, a handful of dedicated scientists, led by a quiet-spoken chemist named Jean, began a task no one had imagined just a few years earlier: testing urine samples for anabolic steroids. The air smelled of fresh coffee and the distant echo of cheering crowds, while the gentle clink of glass vials marked each careful analysis. What started as a cautious experiment quickly became a defining moment for the 1976 Games. When the first clean result flashed on the screen, a ripple of relief spread through the volunteers, coaches, and young spectators who had gathered outside to watch the torch flame dance. It wasn't just a win for fairness. It was a promise that Montreal would stand for integrity in sport, inspiring future generations to compete with honor. Tonight, as the city lights reflect on the St. Lawrence, we remember that spirit of courage and honesty that still guides us today.
On a crisp Saturday night at Percival Molson Stadium, the Montreal Alouettes hosted the Calgary Stampeders before a sea of red and blue scarves. Quarterback Davis Alexander, flanked by his veteran receivers, led a crowd-pleasing comeback that kept the stadium's pulse racing until the final whistle. Midway through the third quarter, Alexander launched a spiraling 30-yard pass that found rookie wideout Malik Boudreau in the end zone, a play that sparked a 14-point surge and turned a tentative lead into a commanding advantage. The Stampeders rallied late, clawing back to within 6, but Alexander answered with a precision strike on 3rd and 9, threading the ball between two defenders to set up a decisive field goal. In doing so, he eclipsed the league's single-game passing yardage record, a milestone that left even the most stoic fans on their feet. The Alouettes sealed the victory at 38-32, a score that reflected both resilience and community spirit. Deeply, Montreal's love for its team shines brighter tonight, reminding us why we gather here.
Thanks for watching, Montreal. Tonight's look at the new affordable housing rollout, 1,650 units, showed the city's commitment to community. I'm Peter Miller, and I'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to you. Stay safe, and see you then around the city.